What's going on, guys and gals? Troy, ATXRC Productions, Chef PV here. Coming out to you from ATX Drone Space, drone and multi-rotor tips, tricks, reviews, and unboxings. All that stuff on Facebook. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere, ATXRC Productions. Coming to you to talk about a new and an awesome and very exciting product coming to the FPV drone scene. So, big shout out, Hugo Salinas, aerialvisions.com. Check them out, man. If you need Team Black Sheep products, you need any kind of products, Aerial Vision batteries, cameras and FPV equipment and immersion product line, everything, man. Anything and everything that you might need, you should be able to kind of find over at Aerial Visions. Me and Hugo, my main man, met up last year on Facebook when I had an issue with a vendor that I was trying to get some Dominators from that were in stock, but then quickly out of stock. Hugo came to the rescue, man. The Dominator V2s at the time were hard to find, and guess what? He got me a pair 3 days later. They were sitting on my doorstep, and that was from the day that I paid. Literally, actually 2 more days later, I had them on my doorstep from this man over in New York. Did a great job getting them to me, and man, ever since I've been very appreciative. I don't buy a lot of product from him only because he does specialize in some very specific product lines, and I don't use a lot of those lines. But I have been a Team Black Sheep pilot, if you would, in the sense of I built a TBS Disco from my F450, and that was, again, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. Great products at TBS, Team Black Sheep, the bad boys at FPV, but they're also the cutting edge and some of the best innovators in FPV as far as Raphael Perker and his crew over there, aka Trappy. If you don't know, another big shout out and another big thank you, not just for the little chit chat we had this morning via Facebook Messenger, but for everything that you've done up until this point as far as being a trailblazer in the scene. Without Trappy, guys, and without what he's gone through and done, I promise you that the climate would be probably much different, and not for a good way. So we have a lot to thank with Trappy or Raphael for everything that he's kind of set forth and done. And he's not the only one, but I just want to say thank you. And everybody out there should learn that story and know about it. Chatted with Trappy this morning. Chatted with Hugo over the last couple of days. I may or may not have found a way to move some things around and shift and do and bob and weave. And I might be able to get my hands on, like I said, a great, amazing, innovative, and exciting new product. The TBS Vendetta. Look at it in all of its glory. Man, it is a beautiful looking craft. So, what is the TBS Vendetta? You should know by now if you already are even at all interested remotely in this thing. But we are looking at what is going to be the next step in FPV ARR, not ARF, and I'll explain that. ARR, FPV drones coming to market. Up until this point, it's all been about utilizing the components that we can get, that we get our hands on, that we're able to use for our purposes, but weren't necessarily specifically designed or manufactured for our purposes. Now, over the last year, a lot of companies have gone out and started taking products and started specializing in making those components usable and specific to our industry or our needs in FPV drones and just the drone scene and multi-rotors and all of that. And a good example of this is going to be like RunCam and Foxeer and Surveil Zone, all those companies that are going out and have got these board cameras that we used to use in the last year or two that were specifically meant for other applications outside of our field. They've now taken those and started miniaturizing them. The only reason CCD cameras never got any smaller than they were up until the last couple of years is because there was no need for it. Surveillance cameras were okay being a certain size. There was no need to miniaturize the components, but now there is. TBS and a lot of their manufacturing partners are really the ones that are doing a lot of this. They're getting in and with the manufacturers and going, there's a market for us to start building products out of these products for these products. So taking that, logical and, that step of the process, I just want to say again, thank you to TBS and all those other companies out there that are doing these things. They're the ones that are innovating for us. You Bad, You Buy a Drone, Bruce, man, he's a big one too. Brian over at Multi-Rotor Mania is constantly looking out for new products and constantly doing that stuff. Everybody really is trying to do this. Even Hugo and Surge Flip and all the guys we're buying stuff for, everybody's on the search for taking whatever components we utilize that aren't specific to our use and getting them remanufactured or repurposed for us. So, awesome. All of that gets into the ARR. Almost ready to race is what I'm going to call the Vendetta. Why? Because drop in a radio or a receiver and grab your radio, drop on a battery and charge it up. You're ready to race. This thing isn't just going to be, oh, all the consumers and all your buddies that haven't ever flown FPV, hey, go buy a Vendetta and just, you'll be great. Vortex did that for a lot of people, and the Vortex is a great copter, and I'm not knocking it, but let's all be honest, it's a little on the flashy side. It's meant to get your attention and to get the attention of people that maybe aren't all up in the industry yet. The Vendetta, in my opinion, is a little bit of the other side. It's a little bit more of the, hey, this is going to be all business. We're going to give you something easy and ready to work on and ready to build and ready to fly. But it's not just ready to fly. It's ready to race. And yes, the Vortex was ready to race. But what I mean is this is going to be hardcore, straight up, go race or go home. Take it out and go freestyle. Whatever you want to do, it's going to be capable of pretty much everything right out the box. It takes some cues from the Vortex. On-screen display that has the programmability to change the power of the VTX, PID settings, all kinds of setup can be done. Pretty much you can do anything from the OSD, much like the Vortex. Great, awesome. It's going to run a Unify VTX. It's going to have Triumph VAS, the new antenna system. It's going to run Cobra motors. It's a 240 setup. It's got MT30 connectors shown here. And those MT30s are going to connect the arms so you can hot swap arms out. Basically take a couple of screws out, slap another arm plate on, which has the motors attached. It runs the power cube, so all of the motor power runs through those arms into those MT30s and then into the power cube where the ESCs are. So it's got ESCs, PDB, flight controller, all of that is all in a stack that's called the Power Cube by TBS, Team Black Sheep. If you don't know, go check that out. That's a standalone item itself. You can put that in pretty much any setup and you can run it. Man, this Vendetta is looking really slick, man. You're going to be able to upgrade the motors to let's say a larger size motor. You're going to be able to run up to 6S on it. I believe stock form, you can run 6-inch props. It's a 240 setup. It is just looking great. A couple of really, really trick and key features are going to be the frame and chassis design. So the arms are your typical kind of flat carbon fiber. But when you look at the chassis, which I'll show you here, it's a monocoque molded carbon and re-CNC'd afterwards for shaving it down and trimming it up and getting it to the full proper finish and the full spec of the chassis. Everybody that's seen it says that it's just an amazing, remarkable looking piece in the way that this chassis is put together. Everything's integrated. Everything is hop swap or upgradable and easily worked on and all that. You'll take a look here, go at the front of the monocoque frame. You'll see the screw hole for the camera right there on the outside, a screw on each side, I'm assuming, where you loosen them up and you can adjust the tilt of the camera. Again, very easy. On the back end, which you're going to see a picture of, you'll see the antenna screws in, and right below that is a gray kind of smoked out plate. That plate is actually behind there is all the LEDs for the rear. It's going to be really interesting to see how those kind of light up and how cool that looks. I think being behind that smoked plate is going to give it a really, really cool looking look. Again, it's very low key and very, very much purpose built for what you need, how you need it, and let's go. And let's be able to, again, drop a battery on it and just go. And you break something, let's just pull that arm off and throw another one on and keep flying. This is what FPV racing is about. Not everybody has 5 quads. Not everybody wants to be able to set 3 or 4 quads up the exact same way to where just in case they crash, they have another one. So grabbing a couple of arms and just being able to swap them back on, man, it's just going to be, it's just awesome. It's the next step, like I said, in this world that we're living in FPV racing and, freestyle and all that. Thank you again to the guys over at TBS for just coming up with some great products, man. TBS Crossfire. I'm going to talk about that now. So I messaged Trappy this morning or a couple of days ago. We got back together this morning chatting back and forth. And I asked him if he would answer just a couple of questions for me while I made this video. I wanted to be able to kind of answer. So I asked him what was the #1 goal in creating the Vendetta. The answer was that the main goal was to make an FPV racer that everyone from beginner to expert could use. So a modular design, repair, and upgrade friendly. We just talked about that. It's hitting every nail right there. Modular, easy to repair, upgrade ready, expert, beginner, everything. That being said, again, this, I'm not trying to say that beginners shouldn't go buy this thing. I'm just saying that it's definitely going to be a little less frills as far as flashiness, and it's going to be a lot more business as far as doing some racing or some freestyling, whatever you're going to do. That's all. So next step. Oh, I'm sorry. My next question that I asked him was, in your opinion, what is going to be the next major movement or significant shift in the drone industry or drone landscape, and how is TBS going to be in front of or part of that change? I got a really great answer that I kind of wasn't expecting. He said the next step is going to be going full circle. First, people flew wings around in circles, then they went long range, then quads came and they started flying those in circles. The next step will be to fly mini quads long range, and TBS and the TBS Crossfire as the most robust solution for this with mini quads. And he's 100% right, man. Everybody is starting to go a little more long range with their mini quads, and not everybody lives in America. So first of all, don't jump on that bandwagon. 2, the Crossfire system, man, another amazingly innovative solution that includes telemetry and radio control, and it's the next step in long-range control. So keep an eye on it, and, coming up in the next few weeks, these things are going to start shipping. You might see one appear, and we'll see where we go, man. In the meantime, stay safe, fly smart, fly for fun, fly TBS, Chef PV out. Peace.